are going to be a little bit late. We're going to start, and I want to introduce you first before I just give you the mic to introduce yourself. I met Nora just through a common group, and I loved her energy. She's a well-being certified nutrition coach. She supports people through lifestyle changes, helping them to develop sustainable eating habits, to have a better health and happier living. And that's what I love about it. You know, it's health in a good way and in a sustainable way. She also helps people to discover activities and exercises for their own health and fitness goals. So it's personal. She's a certified personal trainer, certified yoga instructor. She's a somatic movement practitioner with a BA, Bachelor of Arts in Dance and Performance, and Bachelor of Science in Psychology, which is very important because it helps her deal with her clients mentally and emotionally, not just on the physical side. And it is something I really appreciate because I went through this with my own journey, so I know what it is. I know how beneficial it is and valuable it is for a client. So that's also something that I really, I mean, everything about Nora, not just this, but it's adding up. She strongly believes that, she strongly believes that feeling happy and healthy is your birthright. And despite all the circumstances we're living and the challenges we are going through. So that's what I know about Nora. Now I will let her introduce herself, and then we will start. I have a few questions. If you guys have a few questions, we just interact all together. So thank you, Nora. Welcome, and thank you for being with us. I just let you introduce yourself.
Hello, I'm really excited to be here. And yes, as Rita mentioned, all of these things I am and more. Yeah, in my story, there is a load of ups and downs, as we are going to discover as this conversation unfolds. And my story of a well-being has started with a diagnosis of autoimmune disease. That was my wake-up call into the more serious well-being pursuit. Yeah, I was 22 and I was diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis. And I was told that that's going to be it. I'm going to be taking the pills for the rest of my life, and I just have to live with it. And I wasn't really, how to say, okay with that. It took me some time, obviously, to swallow the diagnosis. And then after that, since then, basically, I have been researching and studying to understand what I can do and what other people also can do to improve their life, and how healthy lifestyle, eating healthy, moving, and working with a mindset and stress can help improve different conditions that maybe are not going away, but how to live with them and how to improve the quality of life. So yeah, that was the beginning of my story. And then by that time, I was already with my BA of psychology. And that, I guess, also helped me to slowly understand that I can work through the mindset and how to take the steps and maybe pursue a better eating. Yeah, eating at that point in my life was for looking good and not for feeling good. I had previously suffered from disordered eating. Initially, I suffered when I was a teenager with anorexia, and then later with bulimia. So it was, I believe it was also underlying condition in order because as a reason that one of the reasons that I got autoimmune disease, because I was completely deprived of all of the good nutrients that led me to something else.
Yeah.
And it also took me some time to forgive myself for that, for doing a lot of damaging to myself and ending up with something that I might won't be able to heal. So I will have to just live with it. And then also understand my background, that I come from Latvia, a country that is really close to Chernobyl. And I was born just about 4 days after the tragedy. So
Oh.
we all got radiated because as Chernobyl was discovered for Europe and the rest of the world is when the Sweden got the measures really high. And that's when the world got the warning that something has happened somewhere and radiation is too high in a lot of places. And if you ever have an interest, you can have a look in the map. So Latvia is somewhere in between Sweden and Ukraine. So you will find that we were right on the way. So that could be also one of the factors that contributed. So if I'm just returning and summarizing, a lot of things that happened with us lead to where we are. Good or bad things, that all happens with us. It's a history that makes us up. And also, obviously, the genetic plays a big role. So yeah, my wake up call was the condition. And then I took the steps to just find my way
How,
to pursue.
how did you go about shifting your diet into a healthier one? How did you start with it? I mean, with the wake up call, you say the wake up call was the autoimmune disease that you like your health, right?
Mhm.
That was the wake up
Yes.
call. How did you start to shift? Because we all know that when we are sugar addicts or we are addicted on something that we eat, it's very hard to change. So how did you go about starting to change after you accepted that or you realized, let's say, that that's something to change?
Yeah, when I realized it, as I said, it took me some time, but then I also got lucky because my story unfolded and I started to work at that time when I was a fresh graduate. So my life was amazing. I graduated, but then I started to look for a job, and it was loads of stress and so on. And then at the same time, in the same summer when I graduated and started to look for a job, I also got a diagnosis of autoimmune condition. So it was unfolding really badly for me because I got diagnosed just I went for a diagnosis because I gained 10 kilos out of nowhere without changing a lifestyle.
Oh,
So that was a huge sign. And I also was amazingly depressed, if you can say so. So I
oh,
was becoming more and more depressed despite that nothing was really wrong in my life. So these were big signs for me that I went to a doctor and I got
so,
GP recommendation to do a blood test, and then after the blood test, I got recommended to go to a endocrinologist.
so you,
So yeah,
you gained the 10 kilos over what period of time you gained the 10 kilos?
it was about 2 months,
Wow.
or even less. Yeah, so it was not something that would normally happen.
Yeah.
And despite it, I was obviously knowing my history of anorexia and bulimia. I suddenly gained 10 kilos, and
Yeah.
I was completely not okay with it.
Of course.
I was really freaking out, and I was also getting really depressed to a point that I had suicidal thoughts,
Yeah.
even though with my head, with my consciousness, I was understanding nothing was wrong with me.
Yes. Yes.
Nothing was wrong with my life. I had no reason to have them. So the shift came when I was sending my CVs, pursuing finding a job after graduating. And by mistake, I sent it to a company that was working with organic cosmetic and organic products that was importing them in Latvia. And they were looking for somebody to work at their shop. And yeah, I call it lag because that's how I was introduced with what means organic, how it contributes, and why organic is different, and also all the supplements and everything. So I was getting extensive training in that, and also understanding that besides that, I'm just freshly diagnosed. And my doctor said there is nothing you can do. You shouldn't be even looking for
Yeah.
anything else. I'm just prescribing you pills, and that's gonna make you better.
Yes.
Um, yeah, so this new job actually led me into transition.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
Was
and
it easy?
obviously because I was not okay with my weight, I was looking for what can I do, and all the information that is related. Like obviously, when you want to lose weight, there's a lot of things related to diet. So I was starting to research what can I do with my diet to lose weight, because at that point, my biggest concern as a ex anorexic and bulimic was I have to lose weight. Otherwise, this is not, my life doesn't matter.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Um,
So yeah,
so what was easy and what was difficult in that journey? What was easy for you?
mm,
What was difficult for you?
difficult. I guess as the difficult was a start, a shifting mindset that now I have to think also of nutrients, not
Mm,
also only of like calories that I was doing before. Like calories only mattered, calories in, calories out, as less calories as possible, as less fat as possible.
oh,
So now I was learning that what my nutrition can do for me,
okay.
and understanding that I need nutrients, and obviously still healing from the idea that I have to live on a calorie minimum.
Yes, 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 yes.
So for some time, obviously, I was, if I'm honest, I was living on the idea I have to have as little calories as possible in, but still with some nutrients. So it took me some time to educate myself and move
Into a
through it.
healthy, yeah.
Yes, and through that process, obviously, I had loads of shifts in different diets. So for some time, I was doing loads of programs of detoxification. So I was doing different types of programs. I had loads of books and loads of information that I was reading about it. I was trying to include all the possible superfoods that could help me
Mhm.
with healing process. And then, yeah, I was vegan for some time. I was trying some raw. So there was loads of different phases in it. Yeah,
What
and then, yeah.
what was your preferred stage in all of this? Like where did you find yourself the most comfortable? Um, doing starting, of course, okay, so it was difficult, and then you picked up the pace and you started testing. Did you find any place where it was comfortable, where you said, okay, I'm here, or no, it's just developed into something comfortable? I mean, comfortable, like not 100% comfortable.
Yes, I mean, it was at some point I was settling in. Like, for example, shifting to a vegan now, when I look back, was quite a shift. Though I didn't mention that, but I have been vegetarian naturally by not really craving meat so much. I became vegetarian when was 13. So, out of just not interest for meat.
Yeah.
And a biology lesson that told us that meat is full of different worms and you can get them.
Yeah.
So that also was traumatic biology lesson.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I started to be a vegetarian. So I knew how to be a vegetarian, and then I was shifting to vegan, and then shifting into the vegan added a lot of grains and loads of pulses into my diet, which somehow left me a little bit bloated now when I look back. At that time, I didn't think of it and I didn't feel it that way. But now looking back, I understood that being just vegan and eating a lot of, and actually craving a lot of grains and breads and so on, left me a little bit bloated and actually slightly gaining weight.
Yeah. Yeah.
And yeah, and I was kind of in the transition period. It was like, if I'm relating to an emotion, it was a lot of anger there for some reason.
Oh,
So it was, the story was kind of slightly unfolding through the transition process and through the change. So change process wasn't really easy for me.
it's never
Yeah.
it's never easy to change. I can imagine it's never easy to change. And I think, I mean, I think the change you went through, and through accepting and then getting into the change, that's huge. I think this is a very I mean, many people would struggle probably more into to start accepting and moving forward, and starting accepting and starting. How about your family, friends, your entourage, the people around you? How did they take it? How did they make it difficult, easy, judgmental?
Hmm. Yeah, I see. Yes, I mean, my surrounding has been always challenging in terms of like my family and my friends have always thought I'm a little bit crazy,
Yeah,
pursuing all the time some change, and also knowing that they witnessed me having a disorder eating.
yeah,
So they always thought there's something wrong with that. Um, and then after that, um, after all the time being with this kind of environment that is not really supportive in a way, I was also kind of a frontier, like nobody was doing it at that time when I was doing. I was
yeah,
always looking for the information and for the books and continuous change and interest, pursuing this interest in changing.
yes,
Yeah, so I was kind of a starter there. So being a one of is not easy to anyone. Um, but I had good help of the books and literature. Like my impulses were always books and information I found there. Like being a vegan, just like being a vegan at that time, a very popular book was Skinny Beach, which was nothing about the beach really. It was more
yeah,
about being vegan and how to form that diet. But obviously, as you know now, my story of being really concerned of being skinny, the
yes.
title helped me.
Yes, yes, I can understand. But what about your parents? What about your friends? Like, were they judging you? Like you said, I know, I understand that you said that they were thinking that you're crazy, but were they pushing you? Was it very hard? Well, I don't know. Like, they're not accepting. Were you doing it on regardless? Of course, you're doing regardless, but like, I mean, what was their reaction? How were they accepting you, not accepting you? How was it feeling for you? Because I see a lot of people struggling with that, and a lot of people struggle because of their entourage, of their family not supporting them, their friends not supporting them, and a lot of people are not strong enough to just go to the books. They do listen
Mm,
to their parents, they do listen to their friends. So how
of
what?
course, yes. Also for me, I was finding it took me some time to understand that I should be listening into my inner feeling,
Okay.
how I feel good, like just relying into my intuition, because there is some wisdom that I believe is within the body when we
Yes.
feel good.
Yes.
But sometimes we get like misguided by advice of a friend or advice of parents, or kind of people just not understanding what it's all about.
Of course. Of
People
course.
treating you like, oh, come on, it's nothing wrong. I mean, what's the problem of, the way we have lived all our life?
Yes.
Why,
Exactly.
what's the problem with, having the traditional way? People have lived this way for centuries.
Yes. Yes.
And
Yes.
there's nothing wrong with it, most probably. And for many people, there is nothing wrong with it. But knowing now the information that is related to my diagnosis or to autoimmune conditions and so on, the way I was living and the way I was eating, and the thought that I was having was not working for me.
I think
So I had to find the way of finding.
that works for you. I think there
Yes.
are, I mean, yes, that's what I hear all the time, that our ancestors used to eat this and eat that. Our or your grandfather, your grandmother used to eat this and nothing happened to them. But I think there's a lot of things, a lot of factors that come into play into this, not just like a lot of like the environment, the quality of the food at the now, our stress, how we are living. It's a lot of things that come into play. So that's why I believe that being customized, like working with one person at a time, understanding where they're coming from, how they are living, what they like, what they don't like, helps hugely. So yeah, that's why I'm interested to see how was your struggles or not no struggles with your friends and family. So yeah, thanks for sharing. So I want to ask you something about the movement, like you said, about movement in your life. How do you use movement in your life? How do you use it with your, like, because I know you're a not only nutrition, like we said, you're a well-being coach, so you use movement, you use yoga, and you use food. So in your complete practice as a complete thing with your clients, so how do you use movement in that in general?
Personally, for me, I have discovered that going without, like in the long periods, going with no movement, just living like a sedentary lifestyle, impacts my mental well-being a lot. Like when I don't do movement, I'm a different person in a way, and I'm not my best
Yeah.
in terms of like my behavior, my emotional feelings, my self-control, and all, like my focus. And I was, again, in on my journey, I was lucky enough when I went to study dance in UK. I was lucky enough to meet my yoga teacher. And to be honest, now looking back, when I went to the classes, which were part of the university's curriculum, for the 3 years we use it as a body conditioning. I was lucky enough to kind of feel it. It was a feeling of like an intuitive feeling that it feels good inside of my body, and it does something, but I couldn't explain it by that time. I had no knowledge or understanding, but it was cultivating something within me that felt good.
Okay. Yeah.
And
Okay.
I was hooked. And that's also now when I go in a long stretches without practicing yoga, I'm a different person. Like I feel different.
But
When
you
I
mean
do practice
yoga,
yoga, it's
you mean the movement part of the yoga, the exercise part?
yes. Sorry, I'm relating to the exercise part at the
Yes,
moment. Yes,
yes.
when I don't do asanas, physically I feel different. So my back feels different, my muscles, my a lot of things, but also emotionally.
Yeah.
And then later in life, I also was lucky enough to have a schoolmate that just gave me a program of high intensity interval trainings,
Yeah.
which I for a long time resisted. Like I had them, it was a program on my computer, it was saved. It was a 90-day program, very intensive. But my body as a dancer was kind of prepared for it at that time. And I was hesitating for about a year to try it because with the recommendation came also a comment: it's insane, it's going to be very hard, but you are going to like it, you're going to get
Yeah.
hooked on it. So
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
took me about a year to start it, and then I was totally hooked on it.
Yeah.
From the first, it was and for a long period of time I continued morning practice of yoga combined with interval trainings, which I would do about an hour of yoga in the morning, and about 30 minutes in the night or in the evening when I found these 30 minutes to do the interval trainings. And I had the obviously opportunity to take hour and a half for the
Yeah.
for exercising during the day, but that felt amazing because either combination worked for me very well.
Yeah. I mean, my preferred workouts were high intensity interval trainings for years. I think for 10 or 12 years. So many years ago. So yeah, I understand what you're saying. It gives me it gives me a boost in my energy and in my uh, like, I don't know how you say, like my attitude, like how I feel during the day. So yeah, that's very interesting to hear. I love hearing this. It's nice. So
Yes.
what did you learn from all this? What lessons have you learned from all your experiences?
In terms of like going back to the movement, I have understood that there are phases in life. Like there will be a phase that I like this movement and it's fine. And
Yeah.
I can do it as much as it feels good. And then there is going to be a phase that something is going to shift and it's going to change and I'm going to find something new. And it's also okay. Because for some time I was like, no, but it's not okay. I am a yoga teacher and I should be only practicing yoga. But then I found that different practices actually contributed to improve my yoga practice. So there will be shifts and phases with what feels good to the body. And it's the same also for what I see also for my clients. Something is going to feel good and it will feel appropriate at this time, but maybe in the future or as I shift with my
Yes.
clients, it
Yes.
changes. So now,
Yes.
for example, for me, if I have been doing intensive uh, cardios and intensive trainings and so on, like now I have shifted into less intensive. So I do more yoga practice that is more mind related, is more relaxation, because I feel that this year has brought so much stress
Yes.
around me, and also this uncertainty that has come. Is now at the moment it serves me better if I slow down and I practice yoga in a different way.
Okay. Ah, okay. That's interesting. Thank you. Anyone has any questions? Angelina, you have any questions?
Your story was really interesting. I
Thank
like
you.
the fact that there was an evolution in all that. It was really interesting. No, I don't have any questions.
Okay. Okay. I would ask you. I will ask. I will ask a question, Nora. So with your food now, you say you went through a vegan phase, and you went through vegetarian phase, and so at which phase are you now? What is your healthy eating today? And like, I don't mean in details, like what you eat in the morning, what you eat in the afternoon. No, but like in general, what is your like kind of healthy eating today? What would you suggest to me if I'm coming to you and ask you how should I be eating healthy?
I would, I guess, say that there is no one way that fits all, but there is definitely some guidelines. There are definitely some bright lines, if you think of, that are actually contribute to the way you feel, the way you look, and so on. So for what I have seen that works for me and also for my clients, the first one is being plant-based. And when I mean plant-based, it's an actual, plant-based in terms of eating whole foods, whole vegetables,
Yeah.
steamed, cooked, raw, whole grains, if you can tolerate or your body can tolerate.
Yeah.
Fruits. Also, if you're okay to eat some dairy, but again, a lot of it makes sense in the quality. So it's a next. Okay, you can eat. From what I'm saying, you can eat all of the foods in the whole, in the wholeness of it, in a whole way that you can recognize the food. Either it's a fish or a piece of meat, or it's a or it's a
So
or
not
it's a
processed.
grain.
Not processed, you mean?
Not processed,
Not
yes.
canned.
So it's a, but being plant-based. So if I have to give a percentage to it, I would say 70% to 80% have to come from the plant source.
Okay.
And then the rest of it is up to the certain type of a diet. Either it's a meat, it's a fish, it's a dairy. It's completely up to you. Or you can be 100% plant-based. It's again, there is this possibility of 30% shifting here and there. And then this 30% or 20% and should be something, again, that is really good quality.
Yeah.
If you are not 100% plant-based. So the first one is plant-based guideline or a bright line. The second of it is quality.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So quality, the best quality of it, the best quality is obviously organically grown, and it doesn't have to be organically certified. That makes obviously the price higher, because these farmers and the companies that selling, they have to go through a certain certification that obviously puts the price up.
True.
It can be spray free. So if you have an availability to go to the market and ask a grower or a farmer who is selling this produce if it's a spray free, or what is he using or she using for it. So it doesn't have to be certified, but you should know what is the quality and how it's been grown or raised or farmed or fished. How about the quality? So all quality related things.
What about the struggles that, like, if you go to the market, you really believe the farmer is going to tell you he's not spraying his vegetables? I mean, this is definitely a question that somebody will ask me.
I definitely, and I hear it. Also, I get asked, how can I know? I mean, there is a certain, obviously, there is certain trust you have to develop to this person. If you see it the first time, most probably you're gonna not trust.
Yeah.
And then what I can say about it, then definitely, if you are a person that doesn't find anyone to trust to, then the organic certification is the way to go.
Or grow in your
yes, obviously, yes, you can grow also your own
I'm
herbs.
still waiting to grow my own. I still haven't, but I still waiting to do.
I haven't started it because of the lockdown here, and a small garden that allowed me a small corner to develop.
That's excellent.
For tomatoes and so on.
Yeah,
It was a great experience. It was first time ever in my life growing something and then eating my own produce.
It's beautiful, right? I started it like 3 years ago when I was first moved here 3-4 years ago, and it was really nice. But because I travel a lot, one time I traveled and I came back and they were all dead, and I felt so bad that I was like, no, I'm not gonna kill anything anymore. But now, I mean, with the lockdown and everything, I'm really excited to start growing again some vegetables, because like you said, when you eat the own vegetables that are growing in your backyard, it's like, or on your balcony or anywhere, because I don't have a garden, I just have a small balcony, and I'm gonna put the pots on the balcony. So
yes, exactly, because there is so much information now of micro gardening or balcony gardening or indoors gardening. So you don't really have to have loads of space, and I don't do either. Somehow I think my garden is really about 2 meters by 2 meters.
Yes.
So it's not something huge, but it was a good experience. Yes, and you're really right. It didn't come to my mind right away that you actually can grow your own, and I have been doing it as well.
Yes.
But then if you live in a big city, maybe that's not an option as well.
Yes.
For you to grow a lot. So the main produce will gonna come from the market or from the supermarket. So having organic, it adds the extra trust to it.
Yeah.
Because it has to go through the certification.
Yes. But but there's also a lot about the organic with the I mean, we trust the certifications, of course, but also the soil. They need to work on the soil for a couple of years before it's really organic and clean and everything, and stuff like that. So it's definitely a long process for them. What I have found, because I used to eat organic for years, and then I shifted into local vegetables, local fruits around me, like wherever I am, and I know that they're grown. And then I learned that, I mean, you see them everywhere, but like you learn more and more about the vegetables. Like if the vegetable is huge and shining and big, then doesn't mean that it's good. On the contrary, if you see a small parsley, a small like batch of parsley, that would be more healthy, because it's natural, not grown like every piece of, it's like a try like
gone out of factory.
Yes. Yes. So that's how I get the vegetables. But then also I would recommend one thing that also I do for myself is that I'd rather eat vegetables, greens, even if they are not organic, because a lot of people don't have access to organic. So I'd rather have the greens, wash them well, blah blah blah, and be okay with them and eat them and have some nutrition from them, rather than not having them at all.
Exactly, and I completely agree with that. Completely agree.
Yeah.
So it doesn't really matter if organic is not,
Yes.
if you cannot do something, if quality, you have certain quality and that's it. Obviously, this is about it. We have to live, in the way we are able to live, in the environment that is surrounding us. If we don't have a market or farmers market or organic around us, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't stop us for eating greens. If you don't have greens that are, on a season, you can always buy frozen, because frozen is going to be also freeze in the times that is a seasonal thing, when it's a lot of it. So we deal with what we have, because the circumstances that we are the best for it. Like this is what we are served with, and we have to live with it.
Yes, exactly. That's how I see it, because a lot of people really get stressed about cannot get organic, especially now from Beirut, for example. Now Huda is asking, I mean, maybe you can read that. She's 66 years old, recovering from the explosion in Beirut, and what advice out of your experience you may give her for food or other?
Okay, from the recovering, what I know about different traumas, obviously I don't know your story, what has been, how it has been for your body and so on. But in general, for all sorts of recovering, greens are the best. Greens are the superpower.
I agree.
And also, the other thing that everyone can do at home is sprouting.
Absolutely.
Sprouting is like a powerhouse of the food. Whatever you're sprouting, if you're sprouting beans, or if you're sprouting alfalfa, or if you're sprouting broccoli. So if you imagine, then there's loads of information how good are broccoli, that the sprouts of broccoli seeds are like superpower. It has 10 times more of potency of giving you nutrition. So sprouting is something that everyone can do in any circumstances, because it's so easy to do at home. And there is so much information in YouTube. I mean, I don't need to tell you how to do it, because there are going to be so many YouTubers, showing you how to do it. And it's really easy. You don't need any extra equipment, anything.
Yeah. Huda, if you don't know how to sprout, if you want to know more, ask us. And I would say, because now with the situation in Beirut, I can understand, Nora, that they are limited with the food, limited with the products, limited with everything. So what I recommend as well, because I am aware of that, they can find more lentils, beans, chickpeas. These are all found. You can find them. And then you can sprout, easy sprout. Even you can sprout wheat. So all this sprouts easily, Huda. And like Nora is saying, when you sprout them, they become like huge, and you don't have to eat a lot of quantities to keep yourself healthy. And it actually helps you to reduce your stress and your body stress when you're eating these foods. And the greens, I 100% agree with you, Nora. Any greens you have now is spinach. I think spinach season, chicory is coming up, the season of chicory, and kale is coming up, which are amazing, right? They're just like,
and again, if there is nothing fresh at the moment, you can buy frozen spinach, and you can do you can cook spinach, or you can, I don't know, if you have a blender, you can make a smoothie out of it. because there was a very interesting documentary a long time ago where a guy was offering everyone to drink one green smoothie a day, which was some greens and an apple, some ginger in it. Nothing super fancy. It was just one big jar of a smoothie, of a green smoothie. And then he was, I think, doing it for a month for people. So he was delivering this for people and then kind of seeing how it worked for them. So just one smoothie without any other change, because he was not asking his participants to change anyhow, contributed a lot in the change for their lifestyle and the way they felt. Loads of them were like doing some physical activities, so they needed recovering their muscles and so on. Loads of them were, just an ordinary people without any kind of a goal or intention, just participating in it. And it was, all of them had positive results for the way they felt and looked. So it was just one smoothie. There was nothing else. So you can start from where you are. You don't have to go all in if you are not that type of person. I mean, if you are that type of person, go for it. But for most of the people, just taking one thing, just, making one green smoothie, or, eating one salad a day, or something that is, just one step further than you are today. You don't have to do, an extreme suddenly.
I want to ask Huda, because if she mentions that, if she's mentioning the explosion, I would suppose there is something specific. Is there something specific, Huda, that you want us to answer about? Because Nora, I don't know if you are 100% familiar, about this. People are not even able to. It was a general question. Okay, she says thank you. People in Beirut are not even able to actually find sometimes greens, or the prices are so high that they really cannot find them. So they cannot find frozen. I mean, they cannot pay for the frozen sometimes. So, and many. So now they do their own backyard and stuff. So yeah, I would say, like you said, whatever is around you, like the greens, anything that's around you that you can find, just have it. Parsley is amazing. Coriander is amazing. And so just
all the greens that are herbs, like basil, dill, parsley, kinza, or cilantro, as you call it as well. All of this is amazing. They are all packed, and also all the spices, all the pepper, the cayenne pepper, the chilies, the ginger, the turmeric. All of this is also, you use it in a small quantities, but if you use it continuously for a period of time, it starts improving your health.
Absolutely.
Because the other thing that I wanted to mention, the other, bright line, or something that, is important in the journey, is the consistency.
Yes.
So
absolutely.
falling off the wagon for once is not going to be a disaster, but, being
Coming
consistent.
Back.
Yes, it's not gonna, it's not gonna be bad to you, or it's not gonna, make a huge impact. Consistency of taking steps every single day, like as I mentioned, this one smoothie a day, or this one salad a day, or these chickpeas or pulses a day, if you are not eating them, or better, or like eating less boiled, like oil boiled or fried foods, or switching them to maybe boiled foods or steamed foods. Just turning, taking these steps, but continuously every single day. And then the occasion comes, the life happens. Okay, 1 day, 2 days. Okay, you go back to your consistency.
Important. That's what I'm saying. Jump back onto the wagon. Like you fall off the wagon and jump back on. Jump back on, continue the ride.
and it happens with all of us. I mean, it has happened with me so many times.
Me too.
And so many times I have ended up in the guilt loop, that kind of, oh my God, I did it. Oh my God, it's like, and I feel bad about myself, and I feel like I'm shaming myself, and it just prevents me of getting back into it. It really doesn't really matter.
No.
That's as much as you jump back and you continue.
Yes, jump back. that's what I tell everyone that asks me. I say, do not feel guilty about anything you eat. It does not matter if you fell off the wagon. If you want to eat a chocolate, if you want to eat a dessert, eat it. Either eat it and feel happy about it, or just don't eat it. If you're going to feel guilty about it, don't eat it. But if you're going to be eating it, then enjoy it, right?
Exactly.
Just
Yes.
enjoy it, and
Yeah,
then
yes. And it's also the next one guideline that I'm going to say. It's a joy. It's
yes,
pursuing the joy.
exactly.
What feels right.
Yes. What makes you happy?
It may be, somebody is telling you like you have to do, the new diet comes, I don't know, a keto or a veganism or a raw or whatever comes around.
Yeah.
And everyone is telling you should be doing that. If that doesn't feel right and doesn't bring you joy, don't try it. Don't do it.
Exactly.
Pursue the joy. And also, if the change, you want to change and you feel pulled intentionally somewhere, maybe let's say it's not a diet, you don't want to you don't want to change nothing about your diet, but you kind of I feel like going for a walk. Go for it, pursue
Yes.
that walking, or I don't know,
Do
doing
what
anything,
makes
I
you
mean
happy.
swimming, something that brings you joy. And
Yes.
then I have seen so many times this unfolding. I have seen people starting with yoga for some time of a reason because it felt right for them, and then somehow they included diet after, I don't know, few months of doing it, and then maybe they started doing breathing or meditation after it. It doesn't have to be all in
No,
if
no,
you
no.
don't feel it.
Absolutely. This is the way I go by as well. 100%. I never push anyone into any. They feel that they want to do that. They feel, because when you start, it's like layers. When you start exercising, for like, let's say the first change you want to make is exercising. You start exercising. When you start feeling good about yourself, you want to take off that layer is gone, and then you want to change your food, eat better to feel better. You start doing that, and then from that you start want to walk, you start want to move, so these are layers, one after the other, after the other, after the other, and that's how I think it goes. Because altogether you freak out. You think, oh my god, it's something like my whole life has changed, I don't like it, my whole life has changed, what am I going to do tomorrow? So it's very freaky for people, I understand. Yeah, totally.
Yes, and you don't have to see the whole journey. Like,
Exactly.
it's like if you're imagining yourself in the movie, like there is a story that is going to unfold.
Yeah.
So you are at the beginning of the story. I don't know, imagining yourself in the movie that is going to be unfolding.
Yes.
You cannot just say, okay, I'm at the beginning of the movie, this is, I don't like it, or this is all going wrong, I'm just going to jump off it. You're going to figure it out. You're going to just trust that there is a process, even though you don't know how this journey is going to unfold, because I didn't know how my journey is going to unfold either. And I mean, it's continuous. Like now I'm somewhere in the between of the in the middle of the movie, or close to the end. Nobody knows really.
Yeah.
but it's a certain process that you just have to trust. And there is this one knowledge that is amazing to think of. It's that you're going to figure it out.
Yeah.
Even if in the circumstances that you are now, as tough as they are, because we are all in a different position in life at the moment, you are going to figure out what's the next step that you can take.
Yeah.
But it's this decision point that you say, okay, I'm not fine how it is now, so what step I can take. It doesn't matter how big or how small it is. It's just this pursue, and in a decision that this is how I am is not okay, or this is where I am is not okay with me.
Yeah. And like you said, make one step that gives you joy. And I believe that one step, like you said, we don't know the end of the movie, we don't have to know the end, but we know that we feel good today, we feel good tomorrow. I wake up today and I decide to feel good. Whatever makes me feel good, I will do. And that's the
Exactly.
day after day after day, and before you know it, you're like 10 years from now.
Exactly, because we are going to be 10 years or 5 years or even year older anyways. The time is going to be passing anyways.
Yes.
It's this decision that I'm going to give 100% to my decision of, being healthier, being happier, whatever
Yes,
it takes and wherever it leads me.
yes, yes. It's true. Yeah, 100%. I agree with everything you're saying.
Because really, like, if I look back, let's say on the getting the diagnosis at 22 and not knowing where I'm going to work, because I was, completely fresh. I just
Yeah,
graduated. I did all what I had to do in terms of a traditional way of programming me. I went to the high school, finished it. I went to, to university. I finished it. So what's now? And now I
yeah.
look back. It's more than 10 years have passed, and I didn't know that it's going to lead me to help people changing lifestyles.
Of course, of course.
I had an intention, to pursue and see what I can do about my condition. But then on the way, if I discovered that I can share something,
Yes,
and it led me to different places. It
absolutely.
led me to understanding yoga, to doing a personal training, to learning about nutrition, and so on. If somebody would tell me, at 22 that this is where I'm going to be at 30, living in a completely different country, have been living in many countries in Europe for certain period of time, not living in my own country, I would be, I wouldn't believe it.
Yes, yes, yes. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And that's the fun of it.
Exactly. Trusting that it's going to be good
Yes.
and,
I would
and
say,
pursue.
other than just trusting, follow what feels good and just surrender. Surrender. Let it happen. Be open to what comes your way. Be open to what comes your way.
Exactly. But when I'm saying that, is pursue the joy, I'm
Yes.
not saying that every day is going to be happy and butterflies and
No.
everything. No, it's
No.
not. It might not feel, that way every single day. But inside of you, when you will ask your question, it should be like, am I going to turn back and I'm going back where I started? Or if it feels something, it feels
You
some
know,
kind of difference to pull towards it.
yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying, and it's true. And in that case, I would look for gratitude, because I'm grateful that I'm one day forward. I'm great, and even when we are in deep shit, like, I would look up and I would say, thank you, because I'm still like this and I'm still like that. I'm not worse. That's how I am. I don't know. Even
Yes, and I agree. The gratefulness helps a lot. And I also understand that, lately there have been a lot of overuse of being great and grateful for this and grateful for that. And at some point it has been, kind of a little bit stepping on my nerves with, being grateful for this and being grateful for that and so on, so on. Because
no,
it
I
sounds
don't.
like on repeat. No, I'm not disregarding you, Rita. No, not
No,
in
no,
this
no. I know.
way.
I know.
I'm just
Understand. I understand what you're saying, and I agree with you. That has become a word of gratitude, and that's not how I do it. I agree with you 100%, because the way I use the gratitude, not as fashion and it's a trend. No, I use it as something that fulfills me. For example, yesterday I was not feeling well. I was feeling ill and I was not well and everything. But I thought to myself, I was happy that at least I went out and I went to, I don't know, like, went to the beach. I went to the beach. So I was happy that I already did that, although I was feeling horrible in the afternoon. So that's what I talk about gratitude. Like, find something that's actually working in your day and let that lead you. That's what I do to keep myself up. Not about the trendy gratitude. No, I agree with you. I
yes. I just wanted to mention, that there is a certain trend that has become
Yes.
that has evolved from it, and
Yes,
that you don't mean it in this way, and I also don't mean it this way.
exactly,
That
exactly.
it's not this, keeping a journaling and so on. It's good if you want to keep a journaling. It's fine. It's great and it's amazing if you want to follow the trend. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but I'm just saying that if you don't feel amazing and butterflies when you feel gratitude, it's also fine. It's
Yes,
just finding, finding simple things at work, as Rita mentioned.
absolutely.
And
And I
also what,
thank you for saying that. For that, it's like thank you for actually pushing it so that I clarified the gratitude thing.
and also what I was going to say, what has helped me besides the gratitude is not fighting what I feel,
Yeah.
is not fighting that shitty feeling today, is
Yes.
not fighting my anger, my fear, because there have been so many years I have been fighting it, because it just, oh, okay, I shouldn't be feeling this way. And then I fight with it, and I fight that I'm angry with myself, and I judge myself, and I shame myself for feeling that, and then for being fearful. It's just, I have found that giving into it, just allowing yourself to feel this way, the way you feel right now,
Yeah.
is okay.
Yes.
It's just
Yes.
acknowledging it, that it's okay to feel this way, no matter what. No matter what, it's okay. It's allowing yourself to feel fully, allowing yourself to feel fully happiness, sadness, because without the sadness there cannot be happiness. So these are two polarities, and allowing yourself to acknowledge the way you're feeling without fighting it, continuously fighting, no, I shouldn't be feeling, or I shouldn't be, just giving into it sometimes releases a lot of stress.
Absolutely. You know what I do is when I feel something is bothering me, whether it is, I really don't get angry. I'm not someone who gets angry. Just sad, or I don't know, fear for something, or I don't know. I acknowledge the feeling in what way. I know that I'm feeling sad, or I know that I'm feeling not okay, and I try to think what made me feel that way. I go to the bottom of it, like what made me feel sad, and I find the thing that made me sad, that makes me feel sad, and I try to work on that. Stay feeling sad, like I'm still feeling sad. I'm not like joyful and no, I'm sad, but the fact that I'm thinking about what's making me sad and working on it and thinking about it and try to do something about it actually gets the sadness a little bit fluctuating. It's not as sad anymore, like I'm doing something about it or something like that, like not sitting and
Yes.
although we've all had our times, like when you're just sitting and don't want to do anything, like I don't want to do anything, I'm sad and I'm crying and I don't want to do anything, and leave me alone. And
Exactly. And it's just, allowing yourself, to feel this way, because there is also this trend that, is now popularized by Instagram popularity, by Facebook popularity, that just, kind of, there is an image of continuous happiness, continuous, feeling high, continuous, being amazing, and so on. There's so much of it that what I hi Linda.
I didn't
What I'm trying to say is that if you don't feel amazing continuously, it's fine. You're a human.
Yes,
It's completely,
thank you for clarifying. And yes, I agree with you. One of the things that you mentioned is the journaling, and I'll tell you how I use the journaling. I don't know if I would call it journaling. I just take notes. I don't know if this is journaling, but I take notes for 20 years now, more than 20 years, from when as long as I remember, as far as I remember, in my old athletic years. And the reason why I do I take notes is because it helped me in going back. Like, for example, let's say back in March, I was feeling fantastic. Yeah. And I had taken notes of what I had eaten and what workouts I've done. So the taking notes helps me if, like, now in December I'm feeling like shit, I go back to my notes in March, what did I do? And I look at what I do, and I actually start eating, like preparing what I've eaten, and I write to the letter what I've eaten, just because it makes, like, I know what I've eaten, right? It makes me feel good to do it again. I do it even if you think I will follow it word for word. No, but it gives me an idea of what I've done in that month, workout wise, food wise, and I try and can continue to do it. continue doing it. So that's how I use it. I'm someone who doesn't follow any trends, and I don't follow any do this and do that because you have to, and because it's everyone is doing it. If everyone is doing it, I stop doing it. So I just do what feels good to me. So this is how I use. I don't know if this is what you mean by journaling. Is that what you mean by journaling?
To what there is a different ways of doing it. I mean, for some people, for some people is one is right, and for some people, just taking simple notes is something. For what I usually suggest is to kind of start with something that doesn't take too much time, especially if person is not really into writing or journaling or anything. I just ask people to write 3 things that work today and 3 things that I could do different.
That's what you mean by journaling. Okay.
And it's like, it could be as the way you say, 3 things that worked. One of them was diet, or like, it didn't work. The diet didn't work today. It was awful, and it's fine. It's out of.
But if you write the diet didn't work today and it was awful, and why do you write it? Just because if you put it on paper, it's better. That's why you do the journaling, or because?
I mean, you can go into the detail. Like, I don't know. For example,
no, but why?
Just giving you an example of like somebody who's just at the beginning of the journey. He writes, okay, that didn't work today. I tried to make zucchinis and it was completely shit. It tasted shit. I couldn't finish it. So that's one of the things. And then the time evolves. Person continues the journey. I don't know. Let's see, 3 years have passed, and it looks back 3 years back of the stuff.
So
and it looks, zucchini tasted shit for me, but now I actually like my zucchini fritters with eggs. I'm amazed. Like now I'm eating them, I don't know, 3 times a week.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Also the taste and everything else evolves. We evolve continuously. Okay. So just having these 3 things and, saying, okay, you have to be specific. Like, just writing, the diet was shit and I didn't work.
That's what
doesn't
I mean.
give you an information.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. Okay.
Yes, you have to be specific. Maybe the example that I gave you before wasn't in specific, but you have to be specific. What didn't work?
Okay, now it makes sense to me. Okay, now it makes sense. It helps, yes.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be specific. What didn't work? 3 things. And it also takes about, I don't know, 5 minutes. And then you become so efficient, it takes 3 minutes.
Yes. Then you would start enjoying putting them into paper. I like writing what I've done in the day, like what exercise did I do? How did it feel? The next day I couldn't walk, or the next day I was sore, not sore, I write all this because when I go back to the workout, why should I do the workout again? Because I don't know why if I don't take notes. So yes, so probably it's the same what you're saying.
And also involving in terms of a movement. Like so many clients of my of yoga have told me, oh my God, I'm not progressing. I'm not progressing. I should quit the yoga. And then I say, what are you talking about? Yeah. You came to me, you couldn't touch your toes. Like there was like no way you would, I don't know, with a bent knees touch your toes. Yeah. Now you are like bending behind your toes, holding your toes. Yeah. But the thing is that human brain is like not allowing us to, go back in the detail of it. Mm. And even, having these a little bit, small, precise things, even if they are 3, you don't have to write all of that worked and didn't work in a small detail. I mean, write it if it works for you, but you don't really have to.
Absolutely, yes. Angelina, you have something to say? You wanted to say?
Yeah, for me, sometimes if I write down things like that, even acknowledging the fact that the diet didn't work is good for me, because I understand why I'm sad or why I'm.
Okay. Yeah. Makes sense. Okay.
Yeah. That's even if I don't look back and find a way to make it better, it's still good that I acknowledge the fact that I'm sad or whatever because something didn't work out.
Yeah, it makes
sense. Yes, because writing also, because we have to think in words, that's how we humans think, in words, in language. So sometimes putting something down actually puts a structure into it and allows us to understand some things that happen with us. So some people do journaling just to understand what's going on inside of me, because otherwise, how do I kind of digest all of it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Okay, that's very interesting. I like that.
Yeah. Any questions?
Any more questions? Linda, do you have any questions?
Well, this is interesting. I've done a bit of journal. This isn't a question, actually. This is just a comment. I used to do journaling every day. Now I do it more just, as you say, to understand what's going on or just to document. I don't look back and go back and see what I've written, but it's just a sort of, let's get this out. Because I believe that we sort of inherently know how to fix whatever is going on, but you have to almost get it out of you first and then feel what feels right. So that's why I do it. But it'll be interesting to know what the context was because I missed it.
I'm gonna give you a context. Like, I just have to say that me too. I almost never look back on my notes, like very rarely. You know, out of like sudden impulse, but usually I don't. So it's also the way I, you know, kind of digest what's happening in my life and with me and in general. You know, allows me to de-stress in some way. But the context was that helped me, Rita, with how do we started with
life changing, like
journaling.
how to change habits, how to get into shifting in our lives to diet, like changing diets, how to stop eating something we like to eat, how to remember, how to not remember. No, I talked about remember, but about basically how to change, to shift, how to shift into a healthy diet, into a healthy lifestyle, right? This is what we were talking about.
Yes, I think so. I mean, we continue jumping from point to point.
Yeah, I think it was pretty interesting. It's interesting. Thank you.
Yeah, and it's also the one of the ways of allowing yourself feel the way you feel.
Yes, absolutely.
Like because you know we most of us adults, we are expected to behave certain way, and sometimes we don't want to. And on paper we don't have to, because it's only for us. We can say anything. There is, you know,
yeah, I rarely
especially if there is, you know, if you are gonna you know, not gonna show to anyone, then it's only you that is gonna
I don't think anyone will
read
be
it or write it down.
I don't think anyone will be interested in reading what I'm writing.
As well, that, but you know, there is sometimes, like I have had it before, I have an inner censor in my head that says, oh, but what if somebody reads it? What if, you know, somebody finds it?
Well. Yeah, I've been there. But I realized that nobody, even if they open my my diary, my diary, they will not understand my handwriting anyway. So I'm safe.
You know what? A psychologist would be very interested to read it.
Yep. Nora is here.
So yeah, I mean, it's also writing, like writing has been is also related to one of the meditations that I do, which is like a self-introspection meditation, which is, the technique is very simple. You do that, you put a timer, and then you just sit down, preferably in the morning when you just woke up, and there is this kind of state in between sleep and full awakeness. And then you just, you know, because you have a timer for 10, 5, 15 minutes, you focus on the breathing, and you allow yourself, you know, to just be with the breath. And then allow the thoughts, whatever comes to you, to just come and go as they please. The only rule here is not to interact with the thoughts, to just acknowledge, okay, I have this thought of whatever, you know, the day's plan or yesterday's events or whatever comes, or whatever image comes, just acknowledge it and, you know, not interact. And sometimes when it happens that, you know, we cannot resist or we don't notice, we, you know, we start a conversation with this thought, or we, you know, continue the path of some image or something. Maybe it can be some kind of a message that sits in our, let's say, unconscious mind, and we can, you know, just after the meditation, when the, you know, timer goes off, when the buzzer goes, you can just make a small note of this image or, you know, this thought. And then over the time, you will start developing after you do it, you know, for some certain time of this type of notes, you might look back and then you might find some certain pattern. Or if you don't look back, that, you know, just acknowledging it and writing it down might open something within you. It has definitely happened for me, and I inherited this practice from my yoga teacher that also saw a lot of different things opening for other people through it.
I mean, yeah, I haven't done what you're saying, but I definitely write down. I write a lot. I like writing, and I sometimes write like pages and pages of what I'm feeling and what I'm doing and what I think and la 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 la, instead of saying them. And I write them, write them, and then I edit and edit and edit, and then sometimes I just throw them, but I just write it and I keep editing. I edit it every day. I look into it and I think maybe one day I'll write a book. You know, I add it into a book or something. Or maybe not, but you know, but the writing helps you think and helps you put your emotions on paper, helps you think how you're feeling, helps you think like about your everyday, whatever you're going through, or you're happy, you're not happy, everything. Like, yeah, I agree. I agree about the writing, by the way, because I like writing as well.
Yes, yes, it's definitely, you know, for some people it can be really, really helpful too. I don't say that it works for everything, for everyone. It's like
No,
there is no
no,
one
no.
key that opens all doors, but
Yes.
it can be
Ah,
one of the
I
ways.
like that. There's no monkey that opens all doors. Ah, I like that. Yeah, there's no one monkey that opens all doors. Okay. Okay.
Or one key, whatever you see, monkey or a key or.
Ah, you said one key. I heard monkey.
So I was like, what's she talking about?
One key. There is one, not one key. I heard monkey. Ah,
Okay.
that is hilarious.
Monkey or a key, whoever opens something.
Yeah, whoever opens the door. Yeah, one key. I've heard it before, but I hadn't heard a monkey, so that was. Any more questions? We're coming close to the finish, to the end of our meeting with amazing Nora. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. I really have appreciated sharing my story and also sharing what has worked for me and also for my clients. I hope you know, you find it something useful for yourself as well. And then if I have to summarize, it's just that we talked about my journey and my diagnosis being a wake-up call for me, and just trusting into the journey. You don't have to see the whole picture unfolding right away. It's fine. You're in the middle of your story or just in the beginning, so you don't have to know the movie, you know, and don't stop it midway, because, you know, sometimes there are obstacles and, you know, everything goes wrong in the movie and you are like, okay, the main actor is just, you know, falling and it's completely disaster, there is no way out, and somehow it's, you know, a happy ending at the end. So if you would walk out of the halfway through the movie and say, okay, I'm done with this movie, I'm walking out, that would be the story that you would know, but you wouldn't know that there is a, you know, a different ending of a happy ending. So, you know, trust yourself and give yourself 100% chance to, you know, have this happy ending, whatever it is for you. And there's, you know, just trust the process and continue, because everything can be figure outable. Like, you can figure out small steps to take today, you know, that will lead you to something bigger than it is today.
Absolutely.
And then, you know, following, you know, if it's food related, you know, try to do plant-based and whole foods. The less processed foods, the better. You know, recognize all the ingredients of things that you buy, and then try to do consistent steps every day. Even if you fall off, you know, pick yourself up and, you know, give yourself again 100% chance to succeed tomorrow. And then yeah, the quality of the food, and then follow the joy, follow the what brings you joy, and then allow it to lead you somewhere.
Yes. Thank you. Indeed.
Thank you. I
Thank you
really
for coming,
appreciate this opportunity to speak with you, and I have enjoyed it.
Yeah, we did as well. Thank you.